Grant Cohn, thanks for the time. Let me just fire these questions right back at you. Biggest strengths for the San Francisco 49ers?
Okay. On defense, it's their defensive line. They've poured a ton of money into it. Nick Bosa is the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Eric Armstead's getting paid about $18 million a year. And so is Javon Hargrave. And they traded for Chase Young.
Yeah.
Like, anytime they have a problem with their defense, they're like, get another defensive lineman. And it tends to work. Ever since they've traded for Chase Young, they haven't lost. So what they try to do is generate so much pressure that the balls come out quickly, and then their cornerbacks, who are mediocre or up and down, can at least jump the routes and not be in coverage for too long. So the strength of the team is the defense. You think of it as an offensive team because Kyle Shanahan's the head coach, but they build through their defense, and they build specifically through their defensive line. On offense, I mean, they have a lot of stars, but it's all about Christian McCaffrey. This is a Kyle Shanahan production, which is sort of like a Mike Shanahan production. It's not that different. And the Shanahans have always been a running back centric offense. From Terrell, I mean, when Mike won a Super Bowl when I was a child, God loved John Elway, but that was about Terrell Davis. And this, God loved Brock Purdy, but this is about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he is a legitimate MVP candidate. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns, 16 total. He is the engine of this offense. And so stopping him requires a full team effort. But then if you do that, when they pass, they at all times have 5 people in the pattern who are really good. And they have a quarterback who isn't the most physically gifted, but he finds the open man very quickly. And he's pretty accurate, very accurate. So, and the thing about it is when they go to pass, you're worried about Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey because they're the stars. But this year it's all about Brandon Ayuk. He has taken his game to another level. And it's kind of the Niners' secret. He will kill you. He'll catch the ball about 15 yards down the field and then go for another 5. He's really, really dangerous. And I think the Eagles, I mean, they have to put Darius Slay on him. He will destroy James Bradberry. I'm not calling him trash. No offense, James. But to me, Slay's a lot better. And if they try to put Bradberry on Ayuk, they're in trouble. So they have weapons, they have a defense, and they have a coach who's very, very clever. And he's got 3 extra days to prepare this week. They should have an A1 game plan if he doesn't overthink this, which he has been known to do in the past.
Yeah, I gotcha. How about weaknesses? I mean, yeah, I agree. That defense is ferocious. They're giving up 15.5 points a game. It's funny how the Eagles and 49ers are kind of similarly built in terms of their line, at least on the defensive line. I mean, you can make a case that the 49ers defensive line is the best in the NFL, and you can make a case that the Eagles defensive line is the best in the NFL. It's interesting to see how they built that similarly. How about
they definitely share that philosophy for sure on defense, but on offense, it's totally different. And I don't understand why the Niners differ here. I love the Eagles' philosophy of building through your offensive line. It's what the Chiefs do as well. Those 2 teams were in the Super Bowl last year. It seems to really matter, but the Niners like to save money here. They have a great left tackle, the best left tackle. They spend a lot for him. Everyone else makes about $1 million tops. And it's just not something that they invest in. You mentioned that the Eagles don't invest really in linebackers. Maybe every team has a spot, right? A position like, we got to save money somewhere. Man, this is a crazy. I'm not saying crazy. This is a peculiar one to try to save. It's very important. Protects the quarterback. And to me, last year, the Niners lost this game because of their offensive line. It wasn't just because of a fluke play. It was because they gave up like pressure, I think, on 60% of the quarterback dropbacks, and not one quarterback, but 2 quarterbacks got hurt.
Right.
So, and I think the offensive line is arguably worse this year. They lost Mike McGlinchey, who wasn't great, and replaced him with his backup, who wasn't better, Colton McKivitz. Yeah. So that's a big weakness. And then on defense, it's the cornerbacks. They've played well the last few weeks because the pass rush has been so overwhelming, and they've been going against teams with bad offensive lines. But this week, with this offensive line and this quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who likes to hold the ball and extend the play, you have Travarius Ward and Ambry Thomas covering A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. That's a big advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, the Eagles are going to be without tight end Dallas Goedert, who is a big part of that offense. He's missing his 3rd game after breaking his forearm, and the tight ends have been non-existent. So really it's been Brown and Smith and a little bit of DeAndre Swift mixed in there, and then Hurts just, finding a way. All right, so how about Shanahan? What does he bring? I mean, really great offensive mind, right? What does he bring to that team?
Yeah, first of all, he brings a great defense. He builds through his defense. He always has an excellent defensive coordinator and great talent on that side. He's a little counterintuitive that way. I think he thinks if I just put my talent on defense, I can scheme up the rest on offense. And he's very good. You got to give him credit. His scheme is, 31 teams are envious of it. Maybe not 31, but a lot of teams are envious of it, would love to have his scheme. He may not be quite as creative as Mike McDaniel, who worked with him for a long time, but he's very creative. And he's a very good play caller. He has great scripts. He almost always starts the game up 7-0, up 10-0. I mean, he's good in a lot of ways, but what is he famous for? Losing 2 Super Bowls. He was up 28-3 in one. He had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter in the other one. That's what he's famous for. And so, not to just rub it in his face like, oh, you're a choker. No, specifically, he didn't have the adjustment to sort of close the door when he had a lead in 2 Super Bowls. And I feel like Sirianni, he doesn't call the plays and he doesn't have the scheme that Kyle Shanahan can dazzle you with, but he makes the adjustment. He's in tune with the game and he can make the adjustment on the fly that helps them win. And I don't know that Kyle Shanahan can do that. So often this year, they blow out mediocre teams. It's shock and awe. It's very impressive. But Eagles aren't mediocre. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to come down to an adjustment that he has to make and Sirianni has to make. And frankly, I don't have a ton of confidence in Kyle to do that because in the biggest games of his career, he couldn't.
Yeah.
Had every opportunity to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So who do you, what about Purdy? Obviously, not a real big body of work, right? But what he has shown, 5 straight games, completing 70% of his throws, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, pretty good numbers there. Although I'll say Reddick said today that a lot of times Purdy will throw the ball at other people, but the DBs have been dropping them. So
that is true. That is
a little bit of disrespect there, but okay, that's true. So, but what about Purdy? What does he bring this team? Why has Shanahan put all his eggs in the Purdy basket, so to speak?
He's cheap. I'm sorry. I don't want to be like that because he's really good, but he's like, they're not paying him. He has a roommate.
Yeah.
He has a roommate. He makes like the veteran minimum. So to get this level of play for nothing is a huge, the Seahawks spend $25 million a year on Geno Smith, and Brock Purdy's way better than that, and he makes essentially no money. So that's huge right there. But his skill set is elite processing. He can read a defense better than a lot of veterans. Because is that an acquired skill or is that a God-given ability? I don't know. He's got it, and he's very accurate, and he throws with elite anticipation because he has to, because he doesn't have a very strong arm, and he's a very good scrambler. He's not Jalen Hurts, but he's actually elusive and a good scrambler. The issue with him is he's an anticipatory thrower. And when he's up 7-0, 14-0, it looks great because the defense is all reacting to the play fake and they're all worried about Christian McCaffrey and people are wide open. When he's losing and he has to throw with anticipation and he has to make plays and he has to drop back and there's no play fakes, and all of a sudden he's pretty loose with the football. He'll throw picks. He is a turnover weight and a half. He is way better when he's winning than when he's losing. That's what we've learned from him. He hasn't shown what Jalen Hurts has shown the last few weeks. Down 10, fourth quarter, really good team. Oh my God, he's been bad the whole game and now he's playing great. That hasn't been Purdy. Purdy's the kind of guy where he starts fast and by the fourth quarter, it's like, he's fading. But usually the Niners have the game wrapped up by then. So that's one thing with him. And then the other thing is his worst game of the year this year was in a little bit of rain in Cleveland. He just couldn't throw the ball. He completed 44% of his throws in that game. Wow. So if it rains in this game, he might have to put on a glove or something. I don't know. He might have to go Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Maybe that comes with experience too, that learning how to play from behind and learning patience. And that's we don't have to, we can still come back. We don't have to do it all in one series, just to be patient. Maybe that's experience.
That's what I wanted to say. He is very good, and he might end up being the kind of guy who can bring teams from behind. He's not battle tested like Jalen Hurts.
Right.
He's only started 18, 19 games, which is not a lot, and he hasn't been in these situations because, frankly, he's been kicking teams' butts. Give him credit. He's up a lot. So I'm like nitpicking a little bit. He hasn't brought him from behind very much. Well, he's not losing hardly ever. He has one game-winning drive in his career. It was against the Raiders last year. It was in overtime. The drive was a kneel down after an interception. So one day he'll be there. One day he'll get the opportunity.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's I
Yeah.
mean, Hurts is only 25, and he talks about that all the time. It's just when it comes to reading defenses, the more you play, the more you see,
Yeah.
the more you learn. And that kind of thing with Purdy will come with time, I'm sure.
And that's the thing
All
with
right.
Purdy. Like, people don't realize it, or maybe they do across the country, but he started 4 years in college. That's an asset that I don't think
Yes.
NFL teams have been putting enough weight into when they scout these quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. 4-year starter at Iowa State, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
As opposed to Trey Lance, who played like 18 games in college.
Yeah.
That didn't cut for the Niners.
Yeah.
No.
Now with the Cowboys. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So, Grant, who's going to win this game, in your opinion?
I think the Niners are going to lose for the same reason they lost last year. Their offensive line. They're in denial about why they lost that game. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll win and prove me wrong. But it seems like all they said to themselves was fluky hit on Purdy. That's the kind of thing that could just happen. It's football. And we're not going to overreact. We were better than them. And we're going to go out and prove it and really change nothing about our team other than adding Javon Hargrave, which is great. You made a strength stronger, but you didn't address the weakness that ruined the game for you at all. And I don't know. I mean, maybe Kyle have a different game plan. Maybe he's like, with the same offensive line, I can just sort of put Purdy in the shotgun, don't do play action, get the ball out quick, and we'll win. Maybe. But that's not really that's not your identity. Your identity is to get under center and do play action and have these long developing plays. And it's not going to work against the Eagles. It didn't work last year. It's not going to work this year. You still can't block Hassan Reddick. Your right tackle is I got to give it to the Eagles 24-20.
Interesting.
24-20. I think it's going to be a little bit low scoring if it rains. If it doesn't rain, maybe 27-24 Eagles.
Yeah, it could be lower scoring than I'm thinking, 28-24. But I think both these offenses will find a way to move the football, even though it'll be raining. But we'll see. I mean, I'm so psyched for this game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are as well, and everybody out in the Bay Area.
Not the Niners. We asked them about it today. They're like, "What? It's week 13. What's the big deal?"
Yeah.
After all you guys said, okay, sure.
Yeah, right. They the Eagles same way, man. They're just downplaying stuff,
It's just the next game on the schedule.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. Got to execute.